Ever since the release of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker's first teaser trailer that took place over at, of course, Star Wars Celebration back in April of this year, followed by the second teaser that made its debut over at D23 and by Good Morning America, it left a lot of fans around the world very excited and eager to see the upcoming trailer 3 of Episode 9 that is all set and ready to provide a new tone for the film by director J.J. Abrams. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, what's really exciting about Episode 9 is that we do know that this film is, of course, going to answer many of the burning questions from The Force Awakens, and that this movie really is going to be the darkest of the entire sequel trilogy. And that really does speak volumes by J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio and what they're aiming to do in order to end it all. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to various shot descriptions of the upcoming trailer 3 of Episode 9, this is where things begin to get very intense for this film. Now, specifically, shot descriptions consisting of a sequence where it's explained that Rey is using the Skywalker lightsaber against Kylo Ren inside of a large ship that appears to be falling apart, where they are said to be fighting in a fast-paced fashion. The scene of Kylo Ren fighting Rey is said to mimic the duel between Obi-Wan, Dooku, and Anakin in Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, where eventually the power to the ship is said to go out, where the lights are flickering, where both Rey and Kylo Ren are now floating in mid-air, due to the gravity generators being disabled and broken. It's explained to be a mid-air duel to the gravity generators being disabled, where it's explained to be taking place in mid-air as a lightsaber duel that was inspired from Star Wars The Clone Wars, where the next describes a sequence in which Kylo Ren is holding a device that is said to be glowing in a blue hue that is said to be a relic that once belonged to Darth Vader. As Kylo holds the device, it's said that the past voices of Anakin Skywalker from the prequels can be heard in the background, including the iconic "I hate you" line that is said to be heard in the distance from Episode 3. This relic of Vader's is described to be a key into the plot of the film. Another describes a sequence in which Rey and Kylo Ren are said to be running away from a large shockwave from one of the super weapons firing down on a planet from space that belongs to Palpatine's new Sith Empire. It's described that this is followed by dialogue of Palpatine explaining how he has been waiting decades for this moment and that now the time has come. So let's go over a couple of parts about this. Now, the great thing about this film is that, yes, Palpatine is back, and he is the key to the story here. He is the focus of Episode 9. He's not going to be a mere cameo. He's not going to be put to the wayside. He is the main character of Episode 9, which I think is brilliant. I think that this is really the driving force for the hype of this movie, and why fans are really excited to go ahead and see this thing, is to not just see exactly how this version of Palpatine will compare to previous versions, but to also see what his interactions are going to be like with Rey and Kylo Ren. I think it's going to be quite surreal, I will admit. It's going to be very surreal to see that on the big screen. So, the other one that I do want to go over is, of course, the sequence in which we have where it's actually described to be a lightsaber duel in mid-air on board of Kylo Ren's Ravager ship. Now, we actually talked about this lightly before in the past, that there is going to be a scene in Episode 9 that is going to take place on Kylo Ren's Ravager ship, which, by the way, is said to be slightly larger than that of Snoke's Supremacy, where it's said to be the backup headquarters of the First Order. And what's so amazing about this is that this is something that J.J. Abrams got an idea from Star Wars The Clone Wars animated TV series, where we do in fact have a sequence in which they were using lightsabers in mid-air where the power generators were disabled. Here we have the same exact scenario, except this duel is also said to be loosely based off of the Dooku, Anakin, and Kenobi duel from Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, in the very beginning of that movie, as far as the prequel trilogy choreography goes, before the gravity generators are not disabled. So this film, I don't know if you guys knew this, but we are going to have a lot of lightsaber duels in this movie. So far, there are at least 3 lightsaber duels to count on, and that really is something that speaks volumes by JJ. I think that he's really trying to make up for what we did not get in The Last Jedi. In The Last Jedi, we didn't get a legitimate lightsaber duel per se between Luke and Kylo. I think it's pretty safe to say that, obviously, right? Because when we look at those two characters, Luke was just a force projection dodging those moves being provided by Kylo. And the only duel, quote-unquote, that we really got was in the form of a flashback where both of their sabers collided, right? And that was a very short sequence But moving on past all of this, I will say that this movie really seems like it really is going to live up to expectations when it comes to, at the very least, the connections to the prequels, how many lightsaber duels we're going to have, how many space battles will be inserted into this film, which, by the way, so far there are 2 major ones that are going to be in this movie. And not just that, we have a third faction in this film, the new Sith Empire, which I think is fascinating. So, anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.